course, last May, the Obama administration signed into law one of the most sweeping credit card reforms in history. Some of those changes are already underway, but more begin on Monday. So the watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski, is here with a few credit card new rules, some refreshers, right, for us, Chris?
You got it. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Thanks for coming in, as always. Let's talk about some of the things that are taking effect on Monday.
Okay, we got a list of things that are going on here. First and foremost, the interest rate charges. A lot of times you go out and you purchase something, you may make a late payment, whatever it may be. They may raise your interest charge on your credit card on all the purchases you made in the past. They're no longer going to be allowed to do that.
Okay.
They're also going to be forced to actually give you your bill and give you 21 days to pay it before you're going to actually have any late charges. They're going to have to give you more information when you're going to go ahead and opt out. Your statements. This is one that I like a lot too, because I'm big in regards to obviously knowing what you're paying for.
Right.
When you take a look and you've got that minimum balance on your statement that you have every single month, they're going to have to tell you how long it's going to take you to pay off that entire bill if you just make that minimum payment. These are good things, and they're also going to actually require people that are a little bit younger to have a cosigner. They're going to have to actually prove that you can repay this credit card. So a lot of college students and whatnot, you're going to have to get a cosigner, and they're not going to allow them to be marketing on college campuses.
And that parallels what lenders will do in a lot of other cases where you have to have a cosigner for various other types of loans. If you don't have any collateral, you can't prove that you can repay it.
Yeah, well, we don't live in Les Mis here. There's no debtors' prisons here in the United States, and you know, if you happen to ever decide you want to go to a court and watch bankruptcy court proceedings, or you're going to see, you know, the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of credit card debt that are just wiped out on a regular basis. People can't afford to pay them back.
Okay.
These are unsecured loans. You know, these are all great reforms. I think that these things are fine, but you also have to understand as well that the credit card companies are going to obviously start reining back in. They need to make their money back. So you're probably going to see much smaller balances, and you're going to also have a more difficult time actually obtaining a credit card.
Okay. What are some of the longer term things? Are there things that aren't happening Monday but that are going to take effect later on?
No, this is basically the crux of what they've put together so far.
Okay, so most of everything that they've done is starts Monday, and then
yes. And these are all common sense, good reforms. But once again, you know, you got to understand this is not a cure-all for people for being, you know, personally responsible. You got to make sure you're paying your bill on time. I think a little bit later on the program we're going to deal with that, the extraordinary amount of credit card debt that's throughout our society, and how debilitating that is. And it's not just a problem on yourself, but it's also a weighing on people's relationships and families.
Okay, so we have 4 days until the new credit card laws go into effect. The watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski, is back to give you 5 things you should know before Monday. So you got to be listening up. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Okay, so we're breaking down 5 things everyone should know before Monday.
Well, because all the new rules come into effect after Monday. The idea is to get your cards after February 22nd. You might want to consider, if you have any existing cards, transferring your balance over.
Okay.
It's always good to have a backup card or two.
And why is it good to have a backup card or two?
Well, you know, just in case, you know, something goes wrong. Sometimes one takes Visa, MasterCard, American Express, whatever it may be. Basically, if you've got your financial house in order, you're paying the bills on time, it really shouldn't matter either way.
Okay.
You want to develop good credit, you're going to do that by using your credit card, but paying it off in full every single month.
Okay, so don't go crazy with the spending. Make sure kind of small amounts that are realistic for you to be able to pay off.
Yes, when you go out and you put the card down at the old bar, make sure you know what you're doing, if you know what I mean. If you're under 21, get a card right away, because the rules are going to change. You're going to have a cosigner. But once again, it's all about being responsible.
Sure. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize that if they're under 21, that things change Monday, and so they need to be getting on it right now.
Well, you remember when you were in school, you'd go to the school Shine or the school union there, and they would have people lined up here, get a T-shirt, get this, get that, get a free pizza if you sign up for a credit card. That's going to be no longer.
Okay, which is good news,
yes,
actually.
I agree with that.
Especially when you think about the fact that Americans $700 billion in debt.
700 billion.
Yes, there's the money bag.
Just think about the compounding. I mean, you know, what's the average credit card? What, 18%?
Yeah, 18%.
Just think of the amount of money that Americans are paying for nothing, for interest. And that's one of the good things about the new credit card rule, is the fact that they're going to make, after you purchase something, they're going to actually show what it's going to take to pay it off if you're making the minimum payments.
Real quickly, we have seconds left, but we actually did kind of a poll here at the Daily Buzz, looked at the amount of cards our staffers have. Most people paying off 3 cards right now.
Ouch.
So, yeah.
They're not listening to me.
For more information,
I'm having no
head to
effect
our
here.
website.
You bring me in once a week and none of you listen to me.
Well, the Obama administration signed into law one of the most sweeping credit card reforms in history. Some of those changes are already underway, but more will begin on Monday. The Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski, is here with your refresher course on the new rules. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
All right, let's talk about this. Monday, a lot of these things that they passed are taking effect. Let's review some of the things that go into effect on Monday.
Yeah, I like a lot of this stuff, actually. One of which being no retroactive interest rate charges, meaning that if you purchase a whole lot of stuff on your credit card and you were paying 18%, you're going to continue to pay 18% on that stuff. They can raise it on further purchases, but they can't go back and charge a greater amount on the stuff that you've already bought. Right. They're going to give you a little bit more time to take care of your bill, giving you a 21-day leeway by the time you get your bill, by the time it has to get in. Any types of changes they're making to your agreement, they have to give you a right to opt out of those changes. The statements are going to be easy to read. What that means is that when you see a minimum payment, you're going to also be told, if you just make that minimum payment, how many years it's going to take before you actually pay it off. And they're also going to start putting some limits in regards to who can go ahead and get these cards. I mean, you need to be 21 to drink, but as soon as you show up in college, you can get a credit card. Right. So they're going to be a little bit tougher on that as well.
You'll need a co-signer and so forth. So which makes sense, too, because you want someone to back up these purchases that you're going to make.
Well, yeah, and often kids get themselves, well, credit card companies and banks aren't stupid. They realize that, you know, that the kids fail to pay these bills that they rack up, that their parents are going to say, oh, I don't want, you know, little Johnny or little Susie to have bad credit, and they're going to end up paying the bill. So that's going to go away.
We did our own little informal poll here at the Daily Buzz, and by the way, there is a total of $700 billion in U.S. credit card debt held by Americans currently, which is staggering. And we did a little informal poll here and found some not too great results. You were lamenting the fact that we're not listening to you. You've been coming and telling us about this stuff for years.
You guys got bottles of Hennessy for props around here, so
apparently we drink too much
large.
of that.
Didn't Holly's making close to what Katie Couric's making. I don't understand this.
Oh yeah,
what's going on?
I wish.
You look at these numbers going by. A lot of us have 3 credit cards, a lot of debt just here on the show, and this in the USA Today is going to drive you crazy. Talking about how people will save. The first 2 make sense: primary income and cutting back on ledgeries. The other 2 ways: save the tax refund and hope to win the lottery. 25% each.
Yeah, stuff that makes me want to put a hot poker in my eye. It's you're using the lottery as some sort of savings plan. Not a good idea. Credit card debt, let me tell you, it's one of the worst things that I have to deal with all the time. People wanting to save, do things, and they can't because they have too much.